So let's go ahead and get started. And as folks join, they can ask questions as we go if they need to. So welcome to our webinar, Land and Water Conservation Fund, Protecting the Open Space that you love and that we all love. I wanted to, first start off by introducing myself. My name is Kristen Zilkowski. I'm the Director of Digital Engagement with Conservation Voters of Pennsylvania and New Jersey LCB. And I really wanted to start by just thanking you so much for joining us today. We're covering an incredibly important topic, and our friends at Appalachian Mountain Club are going to talk about the urgency around this issue. And so we just truly appreciate the time that you've taken from your really busy day to learn more about the Land and Water Conservation Fund and how you can get involved. Since not all of you may be familiar with Conservation Voters of Pennsylvania and New Jersey LCB, I just wanted to take a quick minute to introduce our organizations. We are two state affiliates of the National League of Conservation Voters, or LCV. And we work to protect all the trails and parks that we love and the waterways that we use for paddling and swimming, and that are our drinking water sources. And we also advance, a clean energy future that is going to be critical to fighting climate change that we're seeing happening all around us almost every single day, especially with the storms that we're seeing in the Southeast right now. And we do this work a couple of different ways. We work to elect environmental champions at the state and local level. And once they're in office, we work with their offices so that they understand the priorities that they should be advancing, so that they can, again, protect those open spaces and parks and trails and waterways that we all love, and do so much more that's absolutely necessary to protect our natural resources for future generations. And then lastly, we work to hold our lawmakers accountable for the actions that they are taking. And we use tools like our scorecard so that their constituents know how they voted. And most surely, we can't do any of this without people like yourselves raising your voices every step of the way. And joining webinars like this is such a critical step. So again, we really thank you. So I wanted to also introduce, of course, our colleague Margaret Wilson, who we're just so thrilled to have. She's an expert on the Land and Water Conservation Fund. She's the Mid-Atlantic Conservation Policy Manager of Appalachian Mountain Club, and she's going to tell you more about Appalachian Mountain Club and share her wonderful knowledge on the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Before I turn it over to Margaret, I just wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. We're strongly encourage questions. Please use the chat feature. You should be able to mouse over. It might be at the bottom of your screen, but mouse over your screen, it will say chat, and you can send that to everyone. We're happy for folks to share their questions. If we don't get to your question right away, it might be because we're going to cover it later in the webinar, or that we're holding it to the end. But again, please don't hold back. And if you have any technical issues, also use the chat feature, and we'll work to help you troubleshoot those. And lastly, we've recorded the webinar, and we'll Margaret.
Great, thank you, Kristen. As Kristen said, my name is Margaret Wilson. I am the Mid-Atlantic Conservation Policy Manager at the Appalachian Mountain Club. We are based here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So we do a lot of work in this region, but ANC is a nonprofit that ranges from Virginia all the way up to Maine, focusing on the eastern seaboard of the country. But LWCF is an issue that affects not only the states that we work in, but the entire country. So it's a major part of what we work. And I'm so happy to be here talking to all of you about this today. It's a video program that needs our attention now. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video as we go into the presentation. Okay. So just a quick roadmap of where we're going to go on this webinar. And just in this, please let me know if you can't hear me, or if the connection drops out, as Kristen mentioned with that chat feature. So I'll just talk a little bit about the Appalachian Mountain Club, what we do, why LWCF is such a big issue for us. And then I'll do a little introduction about what the Land and Water Conservation Fund, or LWCF, is, and where it came from, what it does, why it matters. And then I'd like to bring it down to the ground a little bit and talk about how LWCF might have affected you as residents of Pennsylvania or New Jersey, or somebody who loves to visit open space in those places. And then we'll talk a little bit about timing, politics, and why we're talking about this so much right now, and why it's really important that we have strong advocates right now. And then just a couple of resources to support you as advocates moving forward to support this program. So about the Appalachian Mountain Club, we are the nation's oldest outdoor recreation membership group focused on recreation, education, and conservation. Like I said, based from Virginia all the way up to Maine. And we care deeply about getting people into the outdoors. That's the main cornerstone of our mission is outdoor recreation, and public space is a huge part of doing that. Our members lead public trips on public lands, as well as using them for hiking, paddling, backpacking, cycling, and anything else that they love to do outdoors. The Land and Water Conservation Fund is one of our main policy priorities, as it's so closely tied to both the conservation of the environment, but also to access to recreation, to give people somewhere to do the things that they love. So ANC advocates for not only funding of this program, but also permanent reauthorization, which we will talk a little bit about later. And we work in close contact with the LWCF Coalition, which is a partnership of organizations working to support and protect LWCF that do a lot of great work. So what is the Land and Water Conservation Fund? Land and Water Conservation Fund was enacted in 1964 to help preserve, develop, and ensure access to natural and recreation resources for future generations. Congress recognized the need for a dedicated mechanism to protecting valued lands across the country, and there has been continual bipartisan support for this program over the 50 years that it's been in practice. So the Land and Water Conservation Fund funds of different open space programs. It's a federal program that supports a lot more than that. So it does support open space conservation on federal lands through the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Park Service, and the U.S. Forest Service. But it also provides matching grants for state and local parks. So that gets a lot of benefit down on the ground to people that like to just go out on a weekend near their home. You don't have to go to a national park to visit LWCF. Some other programs that LWCF helps fund, it protects important and threatened forests through the Forest Legacy Program. It supports endangered species through the Cooperative Endangered Species Program. It's funded the protection of numerous battlefields across the country, and that's the American Battlefield Protection Program. And one portion of LWCF funds that is particularly relevant to us in Pennsylvania and New Jersey is to the Highlands region through the Highlands Conservation Act. And the Highlands region is a geologically distinct greenway that stretches through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. And the Highlands Conservation Act allowed for funds from LWCF to support projects specifically in this region, which has been hugely influential in protecting critical headwaters in the 4 states, which is something that ANC also focuses pretty heavily on in the Mid-Atlantic region. So LWCF stretches to a lot of different areas. It's touched a lot of people in a lot of different regions. So where did it come from? Funding for the Land and Water Conservation Fund comes from oil and gas drilling revenues from the outer continental shelf, and was developed as an offset of the environmental costs of doing this drilling. You take those revenues from a environmentally detrimental practice and you take them to offset it with land conservation. And the biggest kind of sticking point about LWCF and why it has been so supported by people across the aisle is that it requires a new revenue generating mechanism. In order to fund LWCF, no new taxes have to be raised or levied on citizens, and it doesn't need a new source of revenue. The revenue is there to be used specifically for this purpose. So how has LWCF affected you? LWCF has gone to funding the development, acquisition, and general improvement of many national parks, state parks, local parks, trail systems, all sorts of public resources across the country. So it all sounds good in the abstract, but what does that mean on the ground? So this is millions of acres, including some really well-known places in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So you can see on the screen here, this is just a small sampling of some of the places that you may have been or you may love that have been protected with WCF funds, including the Appalachian Trail, the Cherry Valley National Wildlife Refuge, Nockamixon State Park, which is very close to where I am in Bethlehem. So a lot of these places you may have visited every weekend and you don't realize that LWCF was critical to protecting them. But to take an even wider lens on how LWCF has affected people, I thought I'd provide some photos of the sort of views that we've all been able to have available to us because of this program. So on top of the list and that table of projects that I showed on the previous slide, and the many other projects that you can find online, LWCF has protected places like the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, the Flight 93 Memorial, which our president was just at yesterday, Gray Towers National Historic Site in Milford, John Hines National Wildlife Refuge. So these are all beautiful places, very important places, and it's just a sampling of some of the areas that we all love in Pennsylvania and New Jersey that are made even better through LWCF funding. So moving back even more, here's a map of all of the places in the US that have received LWCF funding. This map is available online and it is interactive. So you can zoom in on places that are near you or that you're interested in or that you want to go to and see more about the funding and how it came to be for that particular parcel. There's also an online database of where all LWCF funds have gone, which you can access at the address on the screen. And I encourage you to go to the site and look up a piece of public land that you love to recreate in or visit, and it's probably included in the LWCF funds in some capacity. So that's fun to look into and see these important places and those beautiful views that I showed you. Why should you care about LWCF? Land conservation does much more than simply just conserve. When you conserve public land and open space, you reap all of these benefits on top of the ones I've already discussed. So land conservation creates permanent access to recreation, which is of great importance to AMC and our members. It protects watersheds and drinking water supplies through programs like the Highland Conservation Act that protects those critical headwater areas. It protects wildlife habitat, as well as cultural and historic sites like the battlefield. It promotes public health by getting people outdoors, giving them a place to do that, as well as filtering air and other environmental services. It consolidates land and creates management efficiencies. Many public lands have inholdings that are not yet protected. LWCF helps protect those small parcels to create one large area that is easier to manage instead of fragmented public lands. And it also supports jobs and local economies. So why are we talking about LWCF, a program that has been around for over 50 years today? We're talking about it because the authorization for LWCF is going to expire at the end of this month on September 30th, the end of this fiscal year. And those of us who love LWCF and the places it protects are fighting to keep that reauthorization from lapsing. When the authorization for LWCF lapses, should it expire at the end of September, that puts the use of those oil and gas revenues in jeopardy. They can be appropriated for other purposes, even ones that do nothing to offset the environmental costs of drilling. So we're focusing on this deadline and the countdown in order to show Congress that there's no time to delay on supporting LWCF, and to show all of those members of Congress that supporters of this program are watching them as this deadline looms, and that they're watching the choices they make about it as we're going forward. Reauthorization is a critical keystone of LWCF's longevity. It needs that authorization in order to be guaranteed the funding served each year. However, here at ANC, we advocate for it to receive its full dedicated funding allotment. So LWCF, when it's originally authorized, is authorized to $1 each fiscal year. However, it's almost never received that full amount. So we believe that we need a mechanism to be sure that the money set aside from Outer Continental Shelf revenues goes is land conservation through LWCF. So these are two sides of the same coin, really important and critical issues. So the deadline is looming, and we're coming up to a really important time for LWCF. However, there are resources to the program, and to make sure that everyone working on this issue knows how much people want LWCF to be reauthorized and fully funded. So what can you do? Here's a couple of suggestions that we here at ANC and LCV have to get involved. So talk to people. LWCF is one of the most influential federal funding programs that so talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues about this program and the facing. Bring up to people that it's going to expire unless Congress does something about it. Talk to people when you're on the mission trail or water gap about recreating on a land that owes its protection to LWCF. Breaking up. Can everyone still hear me okay?
You're breaking up just a little bit, but I'd say keep going.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Okay, great. So talking to people about this program and educating them about the issues. You could also lead a trip to a land that has been protected by LWCF. There's two friends, whether it's through a site like Meetup, a group like ANC that leads trips to places, or on your own, outdoors, and show them how this program has affected their day-to-day lives and their passion for the outdoors and recreation. And if you do go on a trip to a place protected by LWCF, tag your photos and your posts with #SaveLWCF. And this is just to show, out there in social media and to representatives and the people that are watching how much everyone uses these places and how beautiful they are and how many people are out there that support this program. And every show of support helps. And finally, if you want to go even farther to help get LWCF reauthorized and funded, you can write your elected official in Congress or sign a petition that shows that LWCF is important to you. There are bills in Congress right now that would go to permanently reauthorizing this program. And the legislators do pay attention to these issues. So when you contact them, they are making notes of, who's calling them about what issues and what matters to people. So everything helps. So ANC and LCV have some great resources to help you get started on any of those ways, whatever you want to do. For example, ANC has posted a draft trailhead talk on our website, which you can use to talk to those you're recreating with about why LWCF is so important. It's just a quick script that you can adapt any way you want. before you head off on a trail in one of these really great places. Here at AMC, we also have our Conservation Action Center, which is a webpage that shows you all our calls to action and ways that you can help. So right now we have a contact your senator action on this site that will send a message to your senator showing your support for LWCF. And you can access that on the website on the screen. And in addition, LCV also has a joint petition which tells Congress to support the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And you can also find that online on the website listed. So these actions are quick and easy ways to make sure that your voice is heard on this issue. We need to show as much support for this program before the end of the month as possible, as I mentioned before. So in conclusion, we all care about environmental protection, outdoor recreation, and responsible land uses. LWCF has been crucial to achieving those goals since 1964, and it needs your help now more than ever as it faces expiration at the end of this month. So I hope that this presentation has connected LWCF to you a bit more to the places that you've been and love, and to inspire you to talk to people about why this program is so important. I hope this inspires you to get involved using any of the resources that we showed you today. So thanks so much. Please feel free to for any of us moving forward if you have questions about LWCF or any of what we talked about today, or visit our website to get a little bit more information. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I think we can move to that.
Definitely. If folks have any questions, please click the chat button, which I see at the bottom of my screen when I mouse over my screen. So that would be where you can find it. And, thank you, Margaret. This was super fantastic. I also wanted to let folks know that we plan to send, we'll make sure that the resources that are mentioned get sent out to everyone who was able to sign up and to be here today.
Great.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions. Closing thoughts, or just talk with folks with the talk and the links after?
Sure, I do see just one comment here that the Sierra Club has a petition as well that they're planning to share to social media outlets. So that's great. Thank you so much, Rachel. And I think that's a good point to make in general, that this is an issue that a lot of groups like AMC, like LCV, like the Sierra Club care about. This is a very widespread issue and a very urgent issue. So if there is a conservation or environmental group that you are part of or work with, it's more than likely that they have some sort of social media guidance, petition, contact form about this issue. So keep an eye out for that as much as possible. Okay, and OIA also planning a day of action tomorrow. That's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. A great opportunity to capitalize on public attention. Absolutely. Every chance that we have to get this, both in the eyes of the public and in the eyes of members of Congress, is going to help, because the deadline is running out. The time's running out. So I appreciate so much all of these partners doing all this work to get this out there.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so very much. We'll be sure to follow up. Thanks so much for all the partners who were able to join today and for all of your great work. We'll just keep fighting this fight for this priority that we all share. So thank you again, and we hope everyone enjoys the.
Kristen.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Sorry, it looks like we missed a question. I think we have one question outstanding.
Right. Yeah.
So Madison asked, is this for temporary reauthorization or is there something in place for permanent funding? So that is a bit of a sticky issue. The bills that are in play right now in Congress are asking for permanent reauthorization of land and water conservation funds. So that would mean that we don't have to do this every few years, face these deadlines and the threat of the funding going away. Congress, at the end of the day, can do whatever they want. If they do decide to reauthorize it this year, they can pretty much do it for whatever amount of time that they decide. But we do advocate for a permanent reauthorization of the program, so that partners that work with these funds don't have to go through this uncertainty every couple of years, and they can work more efficiently to prioritize their projects, and know that they have that funding coming each year. Sorry, Kristen.
No, appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.